All right, so in this video, we're going to really look at two different things that are very similar and they kind of use the same kind of specialized attributes and so on. And that's the collapse module and also an accordion menu or an accordion, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to start off with the collapse. Now you can put this on anything. We're going to put this on a button so that when we click a button, this content right here will just pretty much slide out from underneath. So this won't be shown by default. When we click the button, it'll come out. All right, so we're going to go to 5_3_collapse.html, and we're going to add some stuff to this button. First of all, let's make it not look like crap. So we'll say btn and btn primary, and let's display it as a block because we want what's underneath to definitely move on to the next line. And let's add a margin bottom of 4 because I want to give it some space. Okay, now we want this to basically be the trigger. So we want to add a couple extra attributes here. One is going to be data-toggle, and that's going to be equal to collapse. And then we also want to add data-target because it needs to know what is it actually going to collapse, what is going to drop down. So we're going to say $collapse -btn-1, and that's just what I'm calling it. You could call it anything you want, okay, as long as the ID of what you're trying to drop down matches whatever you put here. So if I go ahead and save that, you'll see it just makes the button look a little better. Nothing's going to happen if I click it. Now we want to go to this div here that also has two other divs inside of it with some content, and I want this to be formatted as a card, so that's what these other divs are for. But this top one here, this is where we want to actually add the class of collapse. Okay, now once I do that and save, you'll see that the whole element, everything here, it's disappeared. Okay, once you add collapse, it's going to disappear. And I just want to add a margin bottom 5 here just to push what's below it down. Okay, it has nothing to do with the collapse widget. And then we need to add an ID here, which should match whatever you put here. Okay, not the hash or the number sign, but whatever that text is. And then let's just make this a card. So we'll say class card. We've already learned this stuff. And we'll do card body. And let's save. So now if I go and I click this button, there we go. So the card drops down, I click it again, it goes back up. And you don't need to use a card. If I were to just get rid of these, you'll see it'll just be a paragraph, but I want it to be a little more stylish, so I added the card around it. Okay, it's up to you how you want to style things. So now we're going to work on the accordion. So notice there's a lot of different divs here. So this first one here is going to have an ID of accordion. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second. And then underneath that, we're basically going to have 3 cards, okay? And we're going to add the collapsible functionality to them. So we need a class of card, and then we have a card header. Okay, we already learned about this stuff. So card header. And then this A tag is actually the trigger where we want to click this and have this content drop down from it. So we need to put an href attribute here with a number sign and then whatever the ID we want to use. So I'm going to say collapse, let's say collapse 1. And then we also need to define the parent. Since this is an accordion menu with multiple collapses, we need to define data parent. Oops, not data equals, data dash parent, and set that to accordion. Okay, actually, I'm sorry, it should be number sign accordion. Now this should pertain to whatever the ID of the parent div. All right, we're also going to need a data toggle, and we're going to set that to collapse. And we've seen this before. We just saw it up here. We've also seen it in the nav bar or the responsive collapse button. All right, now next thing we'll do is move down to this div, and this is going to have the ID that pertains to this. So it'll be collapse 1 in this case, And then it also needs a class of collapse that'll actually make it disappear at first. But I also want this first one to show by default. So I'm going to actually put a class of show here as well. And then this will have a class of card body. So this will have the border and stuff. All right, now we want to go down to the next one and pretty much do the same thing here as well. So we're going to add a class of card header. And then for the link here, I'll actually just grab this whole A tag. Or not the whole one, just the beginning A tag. And then we'll put that in here, and we'll just change this to collapse 2. Okay, and then this div here is going to be, it's going to have the ID of collapse 2. And it's also going to have a class of collapse. Okay, not show, because we don't want this one to show. We just want the first one to show. And then this, of course, will have the class of card body. And then for the last one here, we'll do the same thing. We'll do class equals card, and then this one will be class equals card header. And then for the link here, I'll just grab this first A tag and paste that in here, and just make sure we change this to collapse 3. All right, and then this div down here, we'll give it a class of collapse, and then the ID should be collapse 3. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add our card body class. So like that, and let's see what that looks like. All right, so we have collapse 1, which is open by default because we have that class of show. Okay, we can close it though. This one here, we can open this one here. So now we have an accordion. All right, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. In the next one, we're going to take a look at tooltips.